Doomed. Doomed! This theory is done for. Oh, hi there, floating camera. You're just in time. See this guy? Yeah, he's a bit of a moron. And yet somehow he's convinced a good number of people of his bonkers theory that Pokemon Sun and Moon or the Gen 4 remakes will be the final Pokemon games before a reboot. His evidence? Alchemy and Spiritism. As if you could choose loony or evidence. Anyway, I'm sick of it. He's already made, what, 14 videos on the topic? I've lost count. And not once has anyone made a single good enough argument against it. Proto Mario tried, brought up a good point, but that was shot down. And I've just been sitting here in Lockstin's subconscious waiting for anyone to make a legitimately good amalgamation of points to debunk it. But no one has! All you idiots on Reddit and 4chan are all talk!
Pokemon will never reboot because it's bad for business. These videos are just connecting dots that aren't there.
Oh really? Why don't you tell me some examples then? Please. No, really, please. Please, I really want this theory to die.
These are just a few coincidences. A kid's game can't be that deep.
Meanwhile, there are 20-minute videos about the design origins of individual Pokemon. Come on.
You are taking alchemy out of context. You can't just say this symbolizes something and apply it to Pokemon. This theory is pure BS.
Well then, please. Please. Fucking tell me why. What is wrong? Why can no one be anything more than vague? You humans are despicable. Too stupid to defend your own thoughts. So I've taken it upon myself to manifest myself from Lockstin's subconscious and finally prove how big of a moron he is. But who am I? Well, I am Maxwell A. Gnoggin, a secondary personality to Lockstin's own subconscious. And since I come from his brain, I know every little hole in this theory, every lingering thought that makes him doubt himself, and I'm about to expose them to the best of my ability. Now, first I should specify this isn't a video where I'll compile a ton of minor points he was a bit off on here and there, but I feel this should be addressed. Can you believe that there are people who legitimately believe that because he brought up the fact that Primal Dialga exists in Mystery Dungeon, that means he's an idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about because this was a mistranslation? I mean, he didn't even think that this point deserved being spoken. He put it in text form. But of course, the YouTube comment section, as beautiful as it is, had a few people claiming that this minor mistake, that really wasn't even a mistake, because mistranslated or not, it's still the official name, means the whole theory is BS. I mean, is the theory BS? I think so, but at least base that thought on something that proves you have more than a brainstem. While on the topic though, there are also losers in the comments claiming that because the theory doesn't involve Mewtwo or Keldeo or insert waifumon here, then obviously the theory is bonkers because it isn't all coming together. I mean, being a pedophile is bad enough, but now these guys are idiots too? So yeah, minor mistakes? Meaningless. It's the major ones we are dissecting. For instance, he took a big chunk of time to talk about how Ash would win the Pokemon League in XYZ, and Ash went and f***ed it up. Serena is gone, Ash is going to Alola, and he looks like he had a horrible accident on the way over. And life goes on. Though, you gotta admit that the new art style and different plot direction is at least soft rebooting the anime. Why are you here? Because you are attacking what I've spent hundreds of hours on. I at least have the right to defend myself. Shh. Well, you were totally off on your island colors prediction. It's not yellow, red, blue, green like the Gen 1 games. It's yellow, red, purple, pink. But the colors of the typings they are fit. And later, Toby and Spectre looked into it more and advanced that theory, claiming yellow, red, purple, pink. And, well, it turns out that we were both right and wrong in some ways. And I think that summarizes this whole thing perfectly. Things have been being confirmed of this theory, but just not in the way I originally intended. There's so many possibilities. And the one that I said is the likely candidate is actually not the most true one, but at least partially true. What about the whole point on Tapu Koko being significant in alchemy? It turns out it just means high chicken. Well, technically, you could still translate that as the name origin, but yeah, I'll take that one. I was wrong there. And how about that whole video you had on Mars Shadow? You gave 5 whole predictions and not one of them was right. Turns out it's less Mars Shadow and more Marsh Shadow, or even Evil Shadow of the depths of the sea. Either way, it's a small murky ghost, not a dolphin or an ibis or a wolf or a dragon or whatever. I'm still convinced though.
You can't be serious. It's right there in front of you. Are you blind or something? Are you going to outline the shape of a dolphin in his clouds?
Come on, Lockstin, you ain't MatPat. You can't make stretches that big and still have people believe them.
No, rather I believe that we just haven't seen its next form or evolution. Solgaleo and Lunala have previous forms or evolutions that look next to nothing like a lion or a bat. Marshadow could be the same. Its data just wasn't in the demo, either because it was scrubbed, or because they are saving it for a later game like Hoopa and even Zygarde. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt.
Bad puns aside, a major part of your theory's foundation is based on a mistranslation that spread on the Western internet like the plague. Rockruff sharing a secret with the starters and being just as important to the story as the starters? Yeah, turns out that was a mistranslation. It just says that it has a secret, and it turns out that secret is that it has dual evolutions. But due to the obscene amount of hype surrounding these games, what with PokeTubers all needing to be the first to post about new info and everything, putting speed above quality and coherence. PokeTubers. Because of that, the false info spread faster than your wife last night, and considering this connection is the foundation to the whole Philosopher's Stone is type null bit, yeah, there's a good chance that's all debunked. But you were too preoccupied to do a little bit of fact-checking.
But even without Rockruff, you still have the main 3 ingredients. Something else could replace lead, and you could even use various parts of the starter's evolutions to fill in the gaps on type null.
Well, I've got this on you, though.
You mean that thing I already posted a correction comment about?
Well, regardless, the fact that you mistook a Star Wars symbol for an alchemic one because you misread a source brings out the main issue with this whole theory. Just because some symbols look the same doesn't mean diddly squat. Oh hey, the Arceus symbol looks like the practical Kabbalah and this toxin, meaning Pokemon is ending. You were just looking for symbols that look similar and not double-checking your sources due to your own confirmation bias. I mean, seriously, the biggest piece of evidence against this is that there is no way Game Freak is competent enough to make a plan this good and long-term. We're talking about a company that made leaky demos twice, isn't listening to their veteran fans who only want difficulty options, and thought that these were good Pokemon designs. I get that the language of flowers is important. It originated in Japan and China, and most of the characters are named after flowers and have their symbology lined up. They did say that the next game would have a lot to do with flowers, but they never said anything about Bible symbolism or the zodiac or alchemy or numerology. Grrr, at this point you're just pulling sets of symbolism out from everywhere. What was that last one? Spiritual geometry? That one is barely a thing at all. And the convenient thing about a lot of these sets of symbolism is that they are all loose. I mean, there are 4 man's numbers, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all symbolic of mankind, just from different cultures. So you cherry-picked the most convenient ones that lined up. Confirmation bias. I mean, you aren't lying or anything, you just aren't being the most honest, are you? And even the base of the theory, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. You said in numerology 7 is the number of death of a finished product, perfection, the end, and 8 is resurrection, infinity, and rebirth. But again, in other cultures, 8 is the number of death and rebirth. In others, 20 is death and rebirth. In others still, 9 is death and a finished product. And in others, 10 is a finished product and the end. Symbolism from a global perspective is very vast. You can shape almost anything to mean anything. That's the biggest hole in this entire theory. You stinking game theorists are all the same. I get it. It's all just a theory or whatever that scapegoat quote is, but I expect at least a little bit more thought from guys like you. Not to mention all this Bible stuff you keep bringing up. Do you know what percentage of Japan, i.e. the developers of Pokemon, is in any way Christian? Barely 1%! Why would Game Freak base so much Pokemon lore on something they barely understand? Let alone something that is highly controversial in their biggest market, North America. I mean, could you imagine if it got out that Zygarde is based on Satan? It'd be a PR disaster. A risk they can't take. They've already had issues with that sort of thing here.
I don't know. I mean, have you seen games like Final Fantasy and Shin Megami Tensei that antagonize the Christian faith from time to time? Japan has a complicated relationship with organized religion as a whole, and thus a good number of games and anime either fully or partially antagonize it. I mean, the Western world is the dominant one, and thus its history is taught almost globally. Even though the vast majority of the Japanese aren't Christian, they do still know plenty about the religion because it plays a massive part in Western history. And the controversy Pokemon had in the Western world was due to it having evolution in it, as well as having foreign ideas. Oh, foreign ideas! That controversy has since died down to nothing. And I doubt anything like it, at least on that scale, could ever happen again. Even if they came out with a Pokemon named Satan Zord or something.
Well, how about Game Freak being competent enough to come up with all this? Do you really think some bozo in the office just happens to know all this wacko stuff?
Well, no. Not at first, at least. But I found out all this stuff through basic research. Googling. And if I can do that, so can they. I imagine around the beginning of the development of Gen 4, they finally started to realize that they had a long-term franchise on their hands and began multi-generational storytelling. And they decided that they would end it all with a doomsday. So they got to researching various apocalypse myths and beliefs, leading them first of all to the Bible, the biggest and most widespread one, hence the creation of Arceus. They would also find the Greek and Roman tellings of the end times, the Norse Ragnarok is also fairly common, and eventually, or possibly early on, they found the Hawaiian creation and destruction myth, which is exactly what I've been proposing Sun and Moon, or the Gen 4 remakes, will do. Japan and Hawaii do have a very close relationship.
It's like stabbing someone and then making them your girlfriend.
And of course, middle-aged alchemists were Gnostic Christians, and they have an interpretation of the Bible that applies alchemy and science to explain all of it, even the magic side. So, in researching the depths of the biblical Armageddon, they find plenty of Christian conspiracy theories and such, as well as the Gnostic Christian belief structure, which leads them right into alchemy. And plus, right around the time the Gen 4 games were in development, the very popular and extremely successful Full Metal Alchemist anime was at one of its peaks. Plenty of its characters are chimeras with powers, which you could say some Pokemon are. So Full Metal Alchemist could easily have influenced some of the Pokemon's developers.
This is my video, I'm supposed to be winning, so here's a good point. You are filling your videos up with really good mini-theories to make the really loose reboot theory seem better. For instance, that whole segment about Team Plasma being based on knights who became pirates, as in the Templar because of the Chiro symbol. Yeah, that's good stuff. You should make that a standalone video at some time. But, here's the problem. That has nothing to do with the rest of the reboot theory! But because you put that bit in there and that part's solid, it makes the rest of the theory seem more solid. Like building a wall and its foundation is nice hard brick, but then the main part that's built up is made of pudding. So the theory may seem solid, but it's not. It's based on a few points and a whole lot of vague symbolism. Even within alchemy, the different metals and planets mean multiple different things. You only mention the ones that happen to help your theory, even if it's the side symbolism and not the main one. You're like a slimy advertiser. You can't lie, but you can pull the truth as much as you can to make it seem a ton better. Ugh. And just like bad infomercials, you delivered it in a highly cringy way.
I was having fun. And none of the later videos did that.
Valid, though you've still gotten plenty of complaints about those later videos being cringy too. But honestly, if anyone finds those cringy, then their standards are way low. And they should probably see a therapist. Put a space in there too. In all honesty, Lockstin, I make fun of you and call you a moron just like these other dense idiots, but I get that at least you're the one doing some thinking.
Well, thank you.
Nope, don't thank me, you're still a moron though. You may be one of the few actually using that head of yours, but you should be using it more. I mean, take away all the points I brought up and what are you left with? Type Null is a chimera to imitate Arceus? Yeah. Solgaleo is based on the alchemic lion? Definitely. Language of flowers in Pokemon Rainbow? Sure. Really good analysis there. All the points about Azoth? Vaguely. Azoth is mentioned in Pokemon as being the name of a kingdom and a doomsday project, but it being in Pokemon what it is in alchemy, the elixir of life, life energy? Probably not. You've dug deep and found a lot about the alchemic connection within Pokemon Sun and Moon. In fact, as many of your Twitter followers have shown you, it goes even deeper. Way deeper than you could even hope to put in a single video. So alchemy symbolism? Yeah, good job. But everything about Gen 7 being the end, as I mentioned, the numerology bit is potentially moot because of your cherry picking, which gets rid of the base of death and rebirth being so important. A lot of the other points you bring up help the connection to alchemy, but don't mention anything of rebooting. Eclipses are often a symbol of things to change, but they are also just a portal to another world, which is what the trailer seems to be mainly pointing at. But of course, the biggest point of all, Junichi Masuda, the director of Pokemon, has stated that no, we will not reboot Pokemon. It won't be of any benefit. I know that you, of all people, are big on the Word of God concept, where what the creator says goes, which destroys the hopes and dreams of plenty of fanfiction writers. So that's cool. But then you turn around and go against it with this theory. I get that all you humans are hypocrites, but it's still good to try to not be.
I suppose you're right.
As per usual.
But, Maxwell, read the rest of that quote from Junichi Masuda.
Fine. People 20 years apart can still talk about Pokemon. There's always the gyms, the Elite Four champions,
So there will always be gyms, huh? That will never, ever, ever change. Just like there won't ever, ever, ever be a reboot, right? And we'll just keep getting new Pokemon until we reach the tens of thousands! But listen, Maxwell, you did bring up a ton of points. It's like looking at a cylinder from two separate angles. One person sees a circle and the other person sees a rectangle. Both are true, but it's not the whole story. So, while back then, I did indeed think that a full reboot was coming, but as I've been digging more and more and releasing the latter videos, and now that we've had this conversation, I think I fully understand. Pokemon isn't fully ending to be rebooted. It's evolving. It will enter Generation 8 anew. Maybe the lore will touch upon a universe reset, but as a franchise, it may not have any crazy huge changes. Rather, just a series of small, soft reboots, like what we're getting now. And you know, that's probably for the better.
You know, Lockstin, I really hate you. This was supposed to be my big epic reveal where I wiped the floor with your face and prove how great I am before taking over your channel, and you ruined it!
Taking over my... What are you planning on doing?
There are too many idiots in the world, Lockstin, especially in the gaming community. It's and so I am going to do everything in my power to clear some things up, destroy some theories and dumb fan speculation, and generally rustle everyone's jimmies.
You're using old memes now.
Exclusively because I know it triggers certain people. So hello everyone watching this video. I hope I upset you at some point. Feel free to ask me anything on my Twitter. What are some theories you hate? Some fan assumptions that are garbage? Some stupid points people bring up? Anything at all, big or small, let me know. Ta-ta! Idiots on Reddit and 4chan are all talk!
Pokemon will never reboot because it's bad for business. These videos are just connecting dots that aren't there.
Oh really? Why don't you tell me some examples then? Please. No, really, please. Please, I really want this theory to die.
These are just a few coincidences. A kid's game can't be that deep.
Meanwhile, there are 20-minute videos about the design origins of individual Pokemon. Come on, thoughts. So I've taken it upon myself to manifest myself from Lockstin's subconscious and finally prove how big of a moron he is. But who am I? Well, I am Maxwell A. Gnoggin, a secondary personality to Lockstin's own subconscious. And since I come from his brain, I know every little hole in this theory, every lingering thought that makes him doubt himself, and I'm about to expose. Anyway, I'm sick of it. He's already made, what, 14 videos on the topic? I've lost count. And not once has anyone made a single good enough argument against it. Proto Mario tried, brought up a good point, but that was shot down. And I've just been sitting here in Lockstin's subconscious waiting for anyone to make a legitimately good amalgamation of points to debunk it. But no one has! All
You were taking alchemy out of context. You can't just say this symbolizes something and apply it to Pokemon. This theory is pure BS.
Well then, please, tell me why. What is wrong? Why can no one be anything more than vague? You humans are despicable. Too stupid to defend your own. Doomed. This theory is done for. Oh, hi there, floating camera. You're just in time. See this guy? Yeah, he's a bit of a moron. And yet somehow he's convinced a good number of people of his bonkers theory that Pokemon Sun and Moon or the Gen 4 remakes will be the final Pokemon games before our reboot. His evidence? Alchemy and Spiritism. As if you could choose loonier evidence.